And here they go. All these Texans are starting to blame stuff on me, man. I can't help it that some Texan come along and didn't like Kevin Butterick's looks and beat the tar out of him, man. Don't come blaming stuff like that on me. You make me feel like a big bully.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the studios in the pro wrestling capital of the world, it's the BENGEBUSTER Show.
WRESTLECADE weekend returns to Winston-Salem, November 29th, 30th, and December 1st. Meet your favorite wrestling stars. Experience live wrestling events all 3 days. Shop for your favorite wrestling merch and more. Join us for family-friendly fun for wrestling fans of all eras during WRESTLECADE weekend, November 29th, 30th, and December 1st. All goes down at the Benton Convention Center in Winston-Salem. Tickets and info at WrestleCade.com.
Hello fans, and welcome to another exciting edition of the BENGEBUSTER Show. I am Tony Benz, your host, and joining me, my new co-host of the BENGEBUSTER Show, I'm talking about Tim Red Hot Blaze.
Hey, Tony, it's Tim Blaze, the new co-host. Man, it's such an honor to be here on the BENGEBUSTER Show, man. How you doing today?
Man, Tim, if I was any better, man, I wouldn't know how to act.
Well, I'd say if you was any better, you'd have to be twins, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. Well, you know that's what you said, but I didn't want to steal your line.
Well, you can steal my lines, man. Hey, we're in it for the long haul, okay?
That's right. Speaking of lines, man. Have you heard the news about last week's podcast with Black Bart?
I did hear the news. The number one downloaded BENGEBUSTER podcast ever. Man, it's so exciting.
I'm telling you, and Bart had some tremendous stories, some great behind the scenes stuff that a lot of us didn't know and wouldn't know. Man, it was just awesome.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to be a mark for the show myself, man. I went back and listened to that interview with Bart twice. Okay, of course, we did it live, but I listened to it 2 other times after that, and just the man has some stories, man. I'm telling you, Black Bart at WRESTLECADE, if you don't get in the line to see Black Bart, it's your own fault. Again, costs you not one dime other than the price of admission to get in and meet Black Bart, talk to him, and get your own idea of how he is. I told you a couple of episodes ago, just wind him up and he goes, man. Just talk to him and he'll talk forever. And he's great. We loved him.
Yeah, Bart was awesome. And speaking of awesome, we're going to carry on with the awesomeness as this week, as you fans heard at the top of the program, we had a little promo of one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. We miss him dearly. I'm talking about none other than Terry Bam Bam Gordy. We're going to have his daughter Miranda Gordy on the show later on today.
Yeah, I hear that the red light, as soon as the red light's on there in the studios, that she's going to call in, and it's going to be a treat. She's going to talk about WRESTLECADE, the World Class Championship Wrestling reunion back to the Sportatorium. Of course, talk about her late father, the late great Terry Bam Bam Gordy, and how it was growing up as a baby Freebird. And of course, we'll talk about her career. It's a lot of things that we got to talk about with Miranda. I can't wait for her to call in and just let me know when the red light lights up, man. I gotta know.
As soon as it lights up, I'm sure we're going to hear Bad Street playing in the background.
Oh man, great stuff.
Now, speaking of WRESTLECADE, yeah, Tim, what you got?
I gotta tell you, I'm excited. Last night, and again, as this podcast is broadcast, it's officially announced. Big Barry Windham at WRESTLECADE.
Wow, Barry Windham, former NWA heavyweight champion, U.S. tag team champion, world television champion, Florida champion. I mean, we could talk all night long about all the belts that Barry Windham has held over the years.
Barry Windham is my personal favorite of all time. I'm just going to be a mark for Barry Windham. Excuse me, fans, but it's a treat. I've been working on, WrestleCade rather, has been working on getting Barry Windham on the show for months. And he's come through, man. He's going to be there. He's excited about it. And I personally, myself, cannot wait to talk to Barry Windham again.
And speaking of WrestleCade, I mean, there's just so much going on that weekend. Fans, I'm telling you right now, you better go ahead and get your tickets now, because as the weeks get closer to WrestleCade, there's a higher chance of selling out. But not only that, the closer we get, the bigger the stars get, right, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, it's not over. I mean, again, with the stars being announced again, and the matches hadn't even been announced yet, Tony.
I know that.
I mean,
and think about that.
This is huge. This is huge. I mean, the once the matches get out, if you hadn't got your ticket by then, you probably won't get a ticket, because once the matches are announced, the ticket sales quadruple in days. I'm talking the amount of tickets that are sold when the matches are announced, it pretty much sells the show out. So fans, get your tickets now. It's www.wrestlecade.com. You can get your tickets through there, and you can print it right out with the luxury of your living room. Print your ticket out and have the ticket, because if you wait and go the day of expecting to get in, your lip's going to be dragging the ground, Tony.
I'm telling you, Tim, it is a happening thing. WrestleCade gets bigger and bigger every year. I mean, think about this, fans. How often in your lifetime do you get to come face to face with some of your favorite wrestlers from the past, present, and future? I know I'm really excited about the Great Muta being there this year.
Yeah, the Great Muta, that's a huge coup. I mean, we've been working on that all year. The Great Muta, one of the greatest professional wrestlers to come out of Japan. When he came to the Mid-Atlantic, or when he came to World Championship Wrestling, that was a treat for the fans. Sting versus Muta. Who can forget Sting and Muta? That's one of the greatest rivalries of all time.
Yeah, Tim, I remember as a kid when I first saw Muta, and he's probably the first wrestler I ever saw do the moonsault. And when I saw that, I was just totally amazed at how he could body slam a guy, climb to the top rope, jump, do a complete backwards flip and land on the guy perfect.
Yeah, just phenomenal. I mean, and to believe it or not, Tony, he's still just as crisp in the ring 30 years later as he was back then.
Oh, I'm sure he is. And one thing about Muta that I like, some wrestlers will have a big career in the 80s, 90s, whatever, and then they kind of fizzle out. Muta has always been able to reinvent himself and stay fresh.
Oh yeah, Muta is one of the ring generals, and he practically, I mean, he runs wrestling in Japan. I mean, he's still very active, still very well into it, and we couldn't be more honored than not just to have the Great Muta part of the show.
I mean, I'm telling you, fans, it's WrestleCade this year is probably the biggest it's ever been, and like Tim said, we're just getting started. So if Muta is the highlight of the show, man, I can't wait to see what else WrestleCade has in store for us.
Yeah, speaking of what else it has in store, did you happen to see the names that were on the advertisements that was announced this week?
Oh my gosh, yes, fans. I'm totally excited about this. Teddy Long is going to be there.
Well, Teddy Long is not only going to be there, Tony. I'm going to spoiler right now. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Teddy Long is going to be there all 3 days. Teddy Long is going to be the commissioner of WrestleCade this year.
Wow.
Teddy Long. Spoiler alert. Not only is Teddy Long coming to WrestleCade for the 3 days, but he's also bringing a challenge with him for those 3 days.
Uh-oh. What is that?
Well, it used to be called the White Boy Challenge. But it's 2019, so WrestleCade has decided to bring back the Caucasian Boy Challenge at WrestleCade.
There it is. I love it.
That's a spoiler alert for all the Binge Buster listeners out there.
And fans, you heard it first here on the BengeBuster Show.
The Caucasian Boy Challenge only at WrestleCade. Okay? So Teddy's going to bring that to us. Did you also see the big warlords coming?
Yes.
So now, not only you got the Barbarians already going to be there, okay? Haku's going to be there. But now that third member of one of the most notorious teams of all time, the Barbarian's going to be there, and the Warlord and Haku, all at WrestleCade for a photo opportunity.
And I'll tell you what, if I was in a dark alley and I needed somebody to protect me, those three guys would be the first ones I would call, fans.
Well, think about this, Tony. Think about heels in wrestling today. Back then, you'd be scared to meet those guys in an alley.
This is true.
How many heels do you see these days, especially on the big product, that if you walked into an alley and they were there, I mean, come on. You're not going to take my money.
Nope. Mine either, Tim.
But think about it, the days of Blackjack Mulligan. You walk into a dark alley and you see Blackjack Mulligan, or you see Abdullah the Butcher, or you see Bruiser Brody. Brother, you're going to give your wallet up.
I'm out. Now, Tim, I'll tell you a funny story. When I was a kid, this was probably 1986. It was 86. Greensboro Coliseum. At this time, they hadn't put that fence up yet. You know how they finally had to put the fence up to in the back to keep the marks out, right? Well, right. So I'm there. All day long I begged my dad to bring me to the matches. Come on, Dad, please, 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 please. Well, I wasn't doing the right thing, but making good choices. So my dad was like, "No, we're not going." Well, me being me and seller and come on, Dad, I'll do whatever. Finally, he finally give in to me. He's like, "Okay, well, we're probably not going to get good seats because we're going to go to the box office and whatever." So anyway, we drive to the Greensboro Coliseum. We get into the box office, and during this time, the box office was like right as you walk in the door. They had three little booths there that you go in and buy your ticket. So I walk in there and I'm standing there waiting on my dad to get my ticket, and all of a sudden I hear the fans start chanting USA, USA right there in the ticket booth counter, and I turn around. And lo and behold, there is Ivan and Nikita Koloff in their street clothes with their bags. And I guess they couldn't get in the back door, so they came through the front door, right through the people. And I remember as a kid being terrified, thinking, "Oh my God, Nikita is going to give everybody here the Russian sickle." I mean, it was just, you know what I mean? As a kid, but Nikita was just like the Barbarian and the Warlord. He was a very scary character on TV for a little kid. So imagine, imagine, but like you said today, that aura is missing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm the biggest weenie in the world, but Kabuki made me cry fighting Jimmy Valiant. I mean, come on. I mean, this is a mystique of some of the wrestlers back then. Just was phenomenal. You can't build that character. You only have to be that character.
Right, exactly. And that right there, fans, is something that you're going to get to be a part of if you make it to WrestleCade. You're going to get to see these characters that when you were a child or early teenager or whatever, you're going to get a chance to meet them and maybe tell them, hey, when I was 10 years old, you scared the crap out of me, but it's nice to meet you, or whatever story that you have for them, whatever question you have for them, they're going to be there to answer that and to hear what you have to say. But you got to buy the ticket to get there to be able to do that.
Yeah, they want to hear those stories. They want to hear that, hey, I was scared of you when I was growing up. I mean, how many times would they have even got a chance to meet somebody like Nikita Koloff or the Barbarian or the Warlord or whoever? Because those wrestlers were not allowed to speak to you. They were forbidden. They would get fired. So now is their chance to talk to you, and you would be able to speak to them and just have a civilized conversation and help. Get an autograph, get a photo made with them, get a selfie with them. It's all there for your opportunity to have that taken for you. And
not only that, not only getting to meet your favorite wrestlers, but you're going to get to witness some really groundbreaking matches. we got shows all day Saturday, Sunday too, correct?
Well, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Right, that's what I'm saying. 3 days.
Yeah, Showcase of Champions. Then we've got that night after the Showcase of Champions, we got the Dustin Rhodes story. It's a question and answer. Special Dustin Rhodes are going to be there just for the fans to enjoy. Question and answer anything that you could possibly think of. So that's Friday night. Then, of course, Saturday morning, you got the Breakfast of Champions with Ronnie Garvin and Bobby Fulton and Raven from ECW is going to have Breakfast of Champions that Saturday morning there in the Marriott Breakfast Hall. It's an all-you-can-eat buffet. So the price of the admission for that Breakfast of Champions, the breakfast alone is worth it, not to mention sitting there getting autographs and pictures taken with your stars that are there at the Breakfast of Champions. Then, of course, the big show, the big autograph signing starts around 10 o'clock and goes to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, over 125 wrestling stars. I'm not talking about 125 wrestlers. I'm talking 125 stars. I'm talking people that you've seen or people that you've want to see your whole life will be there. Okay, so we finished that around 3 o'clock. We closed the doors for a good hour. We opened them up back to let the VIPs in for WrestleCade. Starts at 5 o'clock. WrestleCade, meaning WrestleCade, the big show. I call it WrestleCade because that's what it's all part of, is the big show matches that you've probably never had a chance to see in your life, but probably it's never been booked before, is why. So it's a lot of first-time things. It's a lot of recreations of things that you've seen in the past. There's the huge top rope battle royal that you may see just about anybody you could think of. The who's who of professional wrestling walking down the aisle one more time in the top rope battle royal, top ropes belt battle royal. That belt is beautiful. I know that the wrestlers in the past that have held it, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head, Hurricane Shane Helms won that 1 year, and he was just so proud. Tony, wrestlers here, I'm booked in a battle royal. What's the first thing you hear when you say I'm booked in a battle royal?
Oh man, are you kidding me? A battle royal? I got to get my stuff in. Can't get my stuff in the battle royal. You know what? That's crap. But
let me tell you what. These legends are proud to be part of this battle.
They're honored. Exactly.
Yeah, because that's that one time that they may get to capture another title in their life, okay? And they get to walk that aisle one more time in front of a great crowd. 3,000-4,000 people inside the Benton Convention Center, where they've remodeled it now. So it's an opportunity for the fans to see somebody go down that aisle one more time and have a chance to capture a major title. And the top rope belt title is a beautiful title. Have you seen that title lately?
No, I haven't, but I have seen top rope belts, and those belts are, like you said, absolutely gorgeous.
If you need a belt, fans, if you need a belt, promoters, if you need a belt mark, okay, go to Top Rope Belts. That will get you a belt. They'll make it. It'll be authentic. It'll be custom made. It will cost you, but it's worth it.
Well, you want to say the best things in life are not cheap.
No, they're not. So we finish off the big autograph session. We go to the big WrestleCade event that night. And then the next day, of course, Sunday, December the 1st, we started out with the George South worship service. It's free. Did he say free? Yes. We're not going to charge somebody to practice their religion, to go in and get a little peace of mind that Sunday morning. George South's going to have the worship service, and the little birdie has told me, special guest to share his testimony with the fans, none other than the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock, is going to be there.
So that'll be
special. That'll be special. And then immediately following that, of course, is something you and I have been talking about for the last couple of weeks, and we'll talk about it with Miranda later on this podcast. But the World Class Championship Wrestling reunion back to the Sportatorium, where there'll be a panel of World Class Championship wrestlers from back in the day, the likes of Black Bart, Al Perez, Miranda Gordy, Jimmy Jam Garvin, Iceman King Parsons. The list goes on and on, where there'll be a panel where the fans can actually speak to them, ask questions to them, and actually get an insight of what it was like to be in the Sportatorium back in the 80s, in the early 90s, and just to know what it was all about. So the World Class Championship Wrestling back to the Sportatorium, and then immediately following that, of course, man, a big day Sunday. Queens of Combat. Those ladies can put on a show. I'm telling you, last year I was at Queens of Combat, and I have never seen an all-women's show that's so much packed full of action and just gorgeous ladies. I mean, not dead drop gorgeous ladies, and just they can work. They can work, and they work well. It's a beautiful time for the ladies of Queens of Combat on that Sunday afternoon. Immediately following the Queens, we have our bread and butter, which is AML Wrestling Live. AML Wrestling's got the AML Wrestling Network. You can go to the AML Wrestling Network for $4.99 a month and see everything from every WrestleCade from day one to day last. It's got everything on the AML Wrestling Network. $4.99 per month, less than $5 a month. You can see all the action from back in 2013 all the way to 2019. And every AML wrestling show, every WrestleCade, anything that's been done, the Jim Cornette roast, everything that's been done as part of America's Most Liked Wrestling, which is the parent company of WrestleCade. So AML Wrestling Live that Sunday afternoon, full of surprises. All titles are on the line with AML on that particular show. And then following that, we may or may not have something. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag right now, but we do have something special planned for the fans. We just need to find the right time slot and the right room for it. And I will guarantee you when that happens, the fans are going to go bonkers. So that's a full 3 days packed full, and I'm just excited as it can be, Tony.
I mean, Tim, I'm sitting here thinking about this. 3 days of WrestleCade, fans, you better be drinking some Red Bull because there's no time to rest. I mean, it starts on Friday and ends on Sunday. Of course you might get a couple hours sleep, but I'm telling you, fans, you better be there when the doors open every day, because you never know what kind of surprise is around the corner. And Tim, a couple weeks ago we were talking about WrestleCade and how it got started and everything. But think about all the things that have blossomed from WrestleCade, such as AML Wrestling.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just WrestleCade is a train, okay? WrestleCade is a train that's got a lot of steam behind it, if you know what I mean. So when that train goes rolling down those tracks, it's no telling what it's going to bring with it, what cart is going to be on the back, what train is going to be held behind the big engine. So it's just everything blossoms off of it. Like you said, it just blossoms. If you think about it, it's gotten better each and every year, okay?
Yes.
And every year we think, how can we top last year? How can we top last year? That's the question Tracy Myers throws at the team. Folks, we need to top it. And I think every year we actually top it. Another thing about you talking about the fans, Tracy always says there's two big things about WrestleCade in those 3 days. One, go ahead and get a room at the Marriott. Because if you get a room at the Marriott, you don't even have to leave the building. Okay? That's one. Plus, you get a huge discount. That room is normally about $200 a night. I think you get it for $90 a night if you have the WrestleCade code. Nice. So that's a huge $110 savings. Get you the room you can stay there 2 nights, the price it would normally cost you for 1 night. So it's really like buy a night, get a night free if you think about it.
And Tim, the cool thing about this, fans, think about this. What if the room talk
about elevators.
No, elevators are there too, but what if your room is right next to, say, Black Bart or Great Muta or who knows, your favorite wrestler? You never know. So fans, take advantage of this.
That's what the fans talk about to me. That's why I mention elevators. Every year, I have fans walk up to me and say, I got in the elevator with Ric Flair. I got in the elevator with the fabulous Freebird. Yeah, they could say anything, anytime, any given time, any year. They could say, I got in the elevator with such and such. And you know what the best part about it is?
What's that?
Whoever such and such is has the conversation with them all the way down to the first floor.
See, fans?
It's great. Another thing that Tracy says to do, just as a prep list for you, if you're going to spend all 3 days, bring the best pair of shoes that you possibly could wear. In other words, the most comfortable pair of shoes you've ever worn in your life, wear them to WrestleCade, because by that third day, you'll need them.
It's going to be great, fans. I'm telling you, I'm excited. WrestleCade is the sponsor of the BengeBuster Show, and each week we're going to be bringing, or WrestleCade is going to be bringing a new guest each week to talk about their life, their story, and of course WrestleCade.
Well, speaking of their story, a good friend of mine, and you may know him very well, you may or may not, but he's got a story out. It's called Strong Style. It's a book that was written in May. It's a beautiful book. I've got an autographed copy of it right here. It's around 250 pages, I believe. And it's next week's guest. Spoiler alert. Next week's guest on the BengeBuster Show, none other than Scott Norton.
Wow, fans, you hear that? Scott Flash Norton, former member of the NWO.
Yeah. He's agreed to be on the BengeBuster Show and talk about anything we want to talk about, as long as we want to talk about it. And he is more than thrilled. He's excited to be on the BengeBuster Show. It's soon to be the #1 wrestling podcast in the United States, all over the world. It's on iHeartRadio. The BengeBuster Show could be called on iHeartRadio. Just you don't even have to do anything. Just go to iHeartRadio. It's free. Okay, iHeartRadio. Also on iTunes, Spotify, and something I just learned tonight, and I've been on the show for almost a month now, YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in the BengeBuster Show. Again, it usually downloads through the week, no later than about Thursday, every week. So it's a new outlet for the fans, especially the fans of WrestleCade, to get an insight on some of the things they may not know until they walk in the door. We're giving spoiler alerts here on the BengeBuster Show. It's just part of it. I mean, the only way to get the ratings is to tell people things they don't know. And that's what we're here about. Speaking of not knowing, did you also hear that we got the master of the DDT coming to WrestleCade?
Jake the Snake Roberts. And I don't know about you, Tim, but I have been on that receiving end of getting that snake put on me, and that is no fun.
Jake is awesome. Jake the Snake Roberts wrestled for us a few times at ACW. If you remember back in the day, ACW always brought around pretty good stars.
Oh, yes.
I mean, they were pretty good names. Jerry McNeil and Brian Bruce were the owners of ACW when I wrestled for them back in the 90s. But one time I do remember in particular, we brought Jake the Snake Roberts in. It was in Burlington, North Carolina. And Jake the Snake Roberts got to town early that day, and he didn't have to do this. He did not have to do this. He got in that ring around 4 o'clock, 3 or 4 hours before bell time, and asked any of the wrestlers that were there if they would like to get in the ring with him. He sat there and done a 2-hour seminar, Tony, and taught all the ACW wrestlers all these little tricks of the trade and the psychology of Jake the Snake Roberts. Come on, man.
Man, what an awesome honor that would have been to be there.
Well, and if you know what, and the ones that didn't get in the ring right now, they're kicking themselves in the ass, because there was about I'd say there's about 8 or 9 guys, ACW guys, that were in the ring, including me, that was just sucking it in like a sponge. And you know how much he charged everybody for that?
What is that?
$0.
Wow.
That's way before these seminars came around charging you $40 and $50. And don't get me wrong, you can get a lot of knowledge out of a seminar. But how much knowledge can you get from a 2-hour Jake the Snake Roberts seminar that you actually didn't pay 1 red cent for?
And you know something, Tim, about that, talking about Jake Roberts. The one night I got to work with him, I sat next to him, and he and I talked for a little bit. But man, I'm telling you, what a lot of people don't understand is when it comes to psychology in the wrestling business, Jake Roberts, I mean, he is up there with that.
There's no one better in psychology. I mean, to tell a story, Jake Roberts is like a country music song. And I'm not talking about this new shit. I'm talking the older country, the 80s and 90s country, told a story. Jake the Snake Roberts can get in there with anybody, tell a story, and make the match look awesome.
I mean, it's great. And, one of the funny things, whenever I found out I was going to be working with him, I asked him, I said, now, when you put the snake on me, how do you want me to sell it? And his words to me was, don't worry, kid, you'll sell it. I love that. I love that part about it, And you know something? When after our match, I got back to the locker room and I went over and asked him if everything was okay. He said, kid, the way you sold that snake was beautiful.
That's it.
And I'm not putting myself over. I'm just saying,
Come on, Tony, put yourself over. It's your show, man.
That's right. I might as well, right? Nobody else will. But it was great to sit there and talk to Jake and learn, because the one way I thought about feeding to the match was not the way he anticipated, but the way he wanted to get there. It made more sense than what I was trying to imply, and that's what I'm saying. Like Jake knew how to get us to where we needed to be, and get a better reaction. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's great. He's one of the greatest of all times, and look forward to seeing Jake once again at WrestleCade. I think this is his second appearance. I think he did appear on our very first WrestleCade. Yeah, definitely the very first WrestleCade, because our headliners that year was Jake the Snake Roberts and DDP, Diamond Dallas Page. That's when they were going. That's when they were living together,
right,
and doing the rehab.
Yep.
So that was great. It's great to have him back. So Jake the Snake Roberts. One other guest that we announced this week. I don't want to forget him. Rich Swann is going to be.
Swann's going to be there. Yep. And don't forget, we're going to have. Don, and for all of you Crockett fans, Don and Rocky Canoodle are going to be there as well.
Yeah, The Rock's original Rock is going to be there. Well, Ole Anderson was The Rock, but also Don Canoodle was also, to me, The Rock.
Yep.
And a funny story about Canoodle, I was a lot of people don't know this, but I've been in professional wrestling since I was really 13 years old. I was the ring bearer for Jim Crockett Promotions. Well, it was Mulligan's deal when he ran Knoxville in '81, but Sandy Scott was the booker for Mulligan and Flair when they ran that Knoxville promotion '81. He used to come up into Bluefield, West Virginia, which is my original hometown.
Right.
But every time that Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling would come to Bluefield, I would call Sandy Scott. Well, you said, well, how the hell's a 13-year-old calling Sandy Scott? Well, you shouldn't put your for more information on tickets at the bottom of the phone number at the bottom of the poster. I wouldn't call you. But anyway, right. I would call Sandy Scott, and every time, and I'd say, yeah, I was the one that was the ring bearer last time at the match. And what I mean by ring bearer is I'd be the kid that would go to the ring, get the belts and get the robes and take it back to the boys in the back, And I really didn't even watch a lot of the preliminary matches a lot. I was hanging out in the back with the main event guys, man, having a good time. But Don Canoodle one time, and Ivan Koloff was there as I think it was the tag team champions at the time, NWA tag team champions. And I had a little old camera, I guess the kind of camera that flashes, when you click it once and then it flashes, goes away or whatever. But Don Canoodle grabbed my camera, and Ivan took it from him. And Don was washing his trunks in the sink, and Ivan took a picture and said, "Take that home to your mama."
I love it.
And brother, I never got that film developed. I was scared. I thought I'd get in trouble, and so that film never got developed. Of Ivan Koloff took a picture of Don Canoodle.
That's a great story.
Yeah, and he's just standing there naked as a jaybird. And I'll have to tell Don about that.
Oh yeah, he'll love that. He'll get a good kick out of that.
But that's the benefits of being the ring bearer for Sandy Scott, I guess, in the Mulligan Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling when they come to Bluefield, West Virginia. Got Big Barry driving that big blue Cadillac into town every month. Couldn't wait to carry the bags to the dressing room for them from their cars. But that's my deal, and that was just a time that I never will forget. So. From the time I was 13 years old, I was telling Ivan Koloff, I'm going to be a professional wrestler. Ivan Koloff said, son, you don't want to be a professional wrestler. I said, yeah, I do. He said, well, I said, why do you say that? He goes, because they'll kick your ass and they'll take your money.
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh. I didn't understand what he was saying. Right. So later on, after I did get trained and paid that $2,000, I wrestled him. I got a chance to be in the same ring with him, and I was in the back, and I said, Ivan, I know you don't remember this, but I said, when I was 13 years old, I said, I was in the dressing room with you, and you told me I didn't want to be a professional wrestler because they kicked my ass and take my money. I said, well, they kicked my ass, and they took my money, and I'm still here. He put me over like a champ that night.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you know,
he wasn't even supposed to put me over. He put me over, and Jerry was wanting something different. Buddy Landale did the same thing, man. Put me over when he wasn't supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
That's just great. But that's just, it's just how long I've been a passion for professional wrestling since I was, 11 years old. And then 13 being in the dressing room, that's just blowed my mind. But I digress. I guess I'm putting myself over because I'm the co-host, right?
That's right. We can do that. And Tim, that's one of the things that's so amazing about this wrestling business. And I tell people all the time, don't ever think that your dream, whatever your dream is to be, don't ever think that, well, I'll never be able to do this, because I'm telling you, fans, you never know when that opportunity is going to be right there, and you've got that one chance to seize that opportunity and do it. And probably something that a lot of fans don't know. When I was a kid growing up, there was two things I wanted to be in life. One was a pro wrestler. That was a movie star. Now, and in reality, I have got to do both. I started wrestling when I was I think I was 19 years old when I first started training. I'm 45 now, so I've been doing it, you do the math. But in my hometown a few years ago, Cinemax, now that is a big station. They came here to my hometown, and what started out, they would, my father-in-law owned a little car dealership, and they would come up there, the producer, he'd come up there and he would rent cars from my father-in-law. And one day, I had bought this Volvo, and I didn't know that they had been using that Volvo in their show. And so they came back up there and said, where's the Volvo? And my father-in-law goes, oh, I sold it. You sold it? Oh, man, we need this car for this movie. And we got to finish, the filming. And he goes, well, I got good news, though. The guy, I know who bought it, and I'm pretty sure he'll probably let you use it. Well, now, I would let him use it for free, but they were paying me, so I'm like, okay, cool. So they come back to me, and the guy, and my father-in-law, he smartened me up a little bit. He said, hey, if you tell them no, they'll give you a little bit more money. Always tell them no. Tell them no 3 times. Every time you say no, they'll go up. Okay. So sure enough, the guy comes in and says, hey, we need to rent your car for this show, and we'll give you $200. And I'm like, nah, I don't really want to rent my car out. He goes, okay, how about 3? And I said, no, I don't know you guys, And the guy says, okay, here's our final offer. We'll give you $600, give you a free tank of gas. Just let us keep your car for a day. So I said, okay. So $600. They took my Volvo. They brought it back a couple of days later, a full tank of gas. And then he says to me, hey, your father-in-law told me that you were in pro wrestling. And I said, yeah. He said, you ever thought about doing any acting? I said, well, I've thought about it, but, I never knew I could, or, I didn't really know how to get there. And so he says, well, here's a website. Be watching, because we're always looking for extras. I'm like, okay. So sure enough, Tim, I went on there. It took me 6 months, but after 6 months, I got a spot on Cinemax's top-rated television show, which was called Banshee. So I got to be an extra in there. But the cool thing was, when they filmed, I had no idea. Well, the guy told me, okay, the spot we're filming tonight is going to be the season finale. So I thought, oh, great. So I got to wait the whole season to see my little 10 seconds of fame. But what they did was, after they filmed us, there was this one spot in there where they took a still picture of me. I'm holding a wad of cash in one hand, screaming in the other, and every day or every week when this episode would come on, they would do a 10-second countdown before the show came on. and I was number 9. So when you get to number 9, there's a picture, and you see me on there, and I'm holding it up, and I was like, there I am. I'm a movie star. I'm on Cinemax at that. So that's what I'm saying, fans. Never, never, never give up on your dream, because you just never know when you might get that opportunity to relive your dream.
And no matter what the dream is, it don't have to be professional wrestling. It could be acting. It could be anything in the world. Just like me, I've been a DJ all my life. But you know the reason I've been a DJ all my life?
What's that?
Because I've got the face for radio, Tony.
Hey, that's why I'm such a good podcaster. I got the voice for the podcast.
Got to have that face though too. The face means nobody sees you, so you got the face for radio too.
That's right. It's perfect.
Oh man, well, it's been a great time, man. She should be calling in any time now.
Oh, speak of the devil, there is the red light lighting up, and so we are going to pause for a minute, take a little quick commercial break, and when we come back, Tim and I are going to be talking to Miranda Gordy, daughter of Terry Bam Bam Gordy. Coming up after this timeout. It's the World Class Championship Wrestling back to the Sportatorium, featuring Miranda Gordy, Jimmy Jam Garvin, Black Bart, Eric Embry, Wild Bill Irwin, Baby Doll, Al Perez, and tons more on Sunday, December 1st at 10:15 at WRESTLECADE Weekend. Come meet all the favorite stars from World Class Championship Wrestling.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the BENGEBUSTER Show. I have got the baby Freebird on the line, Miranda Gordy. Miranda, how are you doing tonight?
Great. How are you?
We're doing great. Tim,
I'm here. I'm here for you. Miranda, it's great to have you on the show. How are you doing tonight?
Good. Thank y'all for having me.
Oh, no, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure indeed to have someone of your caliber. What I say is your caliber on the line. You're really a part of history. I mean, we're talking about it right now. Daughter of Bam Bam, Terry Bam Bam Gordy, the fabulous Freebird. The daughter's on the line. Miranda, what was it like growing up as a baby Freebird? I just got to know.
When I'm asked that, I always say it was different. Obviously, growing up with, all the Freebirds, it was exciting. So I got to do a lot of cool stuff and, see a lot of cool places and meet a lot of cool people. So it was different.
Yeah, I would say so. And you're actually very, very good friends with Michael P.S. Hayes to this day. Is that not correct?
Yes, he is my godfather. I call him my Uncle Michael. So, unfortunately my dad passed away when I was quite young, and Michael just kind of took over, like, the dad role as best as he could. Obviously, he works for the WWE and he's busy, but he was always there for us when, we needed that, positive male role model in our lives.
And that's totally awesome. I know, Tony, you've got a question for Miranda. You wanted to ask her about her early life there.
Yeah, Miranda, I was going to ask you, growing up as Terry Gordy's daughter, Terry, in my opinion, Terry was the badass of the Freebirds, and Terry, every promo Terry cut was always like spot on, believable. Like what he said, you knew was coming from his heart.
Yeah, he was, most people think of Michael when it comes to promos because he's got the gift of gab, but when my dad did do the promos, like, they were awesome. They were really, really good and believable, and, like, obviously wrestling was what he was meant to do. Yeah. So that's what he was put on earth to do. He started at, like, 13, a young age, and that was his thing. That's what he was meant to do here.
Now I could see you. Now I could literally see you in Japan a couple of years from now. I mean, I really could see the legacy, the Gordy legacy, living on in Japan. I don't know what makes me think that, but do you have any aspirations of ever going to Japan to show your work to the fans?
Absolutely. So as a kid, when I was born, my dad was frequenting All Japan at that time. So that's what I remember. A lot of people, you know, ask about the Freebirds and stuff, but as a kid, I grew up with, you know, my dad traveling to Japan for 3 weeks and then coming home for 3 weeks, and the Stan Hansons and, you know, Giant Babas. And we would have people, you know, come from Japan, and we would always get cool little gifts from Japan and stuff like that. So that's the Terry Gordy that I grew up with and I remember. And most people, you know, want to go to the WWE, and that would be amazing, but I kind of want to go to Japan.
Oh, wow. I could see you carrying that legacy. I could see you carrying the legacy on. He was so respected everywhere, but more importantly, he was so respected in Japan. And that's important, I think, in professional wrestling, when those Japanese fans see something different than the American fans do. That's special.
Oh, yes. It's a different culture, and it is more of a competition. And so it's really a big deal when you are respected over there, which is kind of why it's the ultimate for me.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, Miranda, this has been so cool getting to talk to you. Let's take us a quick break, if you don't mind. I want to come back, and I know Tony wants to talk about the World Class Championship Wrestling reunion back to the Sportatorium that we're bringing to WrestleCade. You're part of that with it's going to be part of the panel with Jimmy Jam Garvin. Again, Michael Hayes is going to be there. Your Godfather is going to be there on Saturday, but on Sunday on the panel, it's you and Jimmy Jam Garvin, and we're just going to have a great time. So let's take a quick break, Tony, if you don't mind. We'll come right back with some more Miranda Bam Bam Gordy.
Okay, Terry, Michael, buddy, good to see you guys back.
Hey, good to be here, guys. First of all, I'd just like to say this. I'd like to thank NWA, Jim Crockett, Channel 17, and Ted Turner for giving us a chance here in the NWA. Now, you know it's like this. A lot of the promoters around the country, they blackballed the Freebirds. And the reason why is because we done wrapped too many cheers around people's heads. Now, you know it's like this. I ain't gonna stand out here and say that we're the greatest wrestlers in the world. And I ain't gonna stand out here and say that we're the worst. But I am gonna say that we can swing a cheer better than anybody in professional wrestling today.
All right, fans, we're back with Miranda Gordy talking about the World Class Championship Wrestling reunion there at WrestleCade. I know that's a big thing. And Tim and Miranda, whenever I hear World Class Championship Wrestling, I know a lot of people think of the Von Erichs, but man, I think of the Freebirds because, in my opinion, the Freebirds ruled World Class Championship Wrestling.
Absolutely. Miranda, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, I know you went back and saw all the video footage of it.
Oh, absolutely. Of course, that's my first thought is the feud itself because it's, you know, a historic feud. So the Freebirds versus the Von Erichs, you almost couldn't have one without the other when you think of World Class Championship Wrestling.
That was a big part of World Class. I mean, to me, even when Buddy Roberts managed the Samoan SWAT team, just all that involved in it. It seemed like the Freebirds ruled the territory, it seemed. So
yes, absolutely.
And you know, guys, we were talking earlier about Japan. And how big Terry Gordy was there. I know there in World Class, he kind of introduced, the Japanese culture because he went to Japan and came back with the Oriental Spike.
Oh, God. Do you use that move at all, Miranda?
Not yet. Hopefully, when I make my trip to Japan, I, do it big like my dad, and I learn the ways of the Oriental Spike, and I'll bring it back myself.
That's awesome. I just forgot about that until Tony mentioned it. That would be an awesome part of Miranda Gordy, just to throw that spike in there. 1, 2, 3, done. And I think the people would just buy it. It's just that's sold automatically. It's inherited, you know.
And guys, if you look back at the tapes. Whenever, one of the cool angles I remember from World Class was when Terry Gordy and Killer Khan had their feud. There was a match in the ring, and their feud was so big they were fighting in the dressing room, and they came out there. The ref came out there, stopped the match, and said, "Hey, we got to stop this match because Terry Gordy and Killer Connor are killing themselves in the back. We got to get them in the ring." And they both come to the ring, the bloody mess. They're fighting. I mean, that angle was just, I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah. That was one angle that if you remember back to the wrestling magazines, it was on the front of the wrestling magazines.
Yes.
And brother, that was one of those magazines to where you got a copy of that and you held on to it. I mean, as a kid, you know, I don't know, man, I'm showing my age, but I was 14, 15 years old. And then coming out with Killer Khan and Terry Gordy on the Inside Wrestling magazine, it just, I couldn't see it because it wasn't shown around here. But I had the magazine, and that's all I needed at that time. But I went back now and since watched it. So, Miranda, let me ask you this question. You're a second-generation wrestler. You're a world-class championship wrestling reunion on the panel. There's another person on the panel, Baby Doll. I noticed you were friends with her on Facebook. So Baby Doll, of course, has a daughter named Samantha Starr. And you two really parallel as far as your careers because you're about the same time frame as far as progressing in your career. What's your thoughts about being a second-generation wrestler and actually getting to see Baby Doll and potentially Samantha Starr at WrestleCade?
I am, I'm excited to see everybody on the panel. Obviously, it'll be somewhat of a reunion. I haven't seen a lot of people in a long time. So I will be happy to meet. I don't think I've ever met Baby Doll, and I've definitely not met her daughter, but I will be happy to meet them. Good.
Well, I know that there's a lot of opportunity at WrestleCade, and it just got me thinking, the wheels rolling in the back of my head, what would happen if those two second-generation stars met each other in the ring? I mean, that would be phenomenal. The daughter of Baby Doll versus the daughter of Terry Bam Bam Gordy in front of thousands of people, in the Carolinas. That, to me, I mean, I know the match is not booked. Don't get me wrong. But if you guys even cross paths at a place like WrestleCade, that would be phenomenal.
Oh, hey, anything's possible, right?
Never say never, right?
Right.
Great. Tony, did you have any questions about the World Class Championship Wrestling reunion back to the Sportatorium at WrestleCade for Miranda?
No, I think it's going to be an awesome opportunity for fans in the Carolinas to actually be able to ask questions to all these legends from World Class Championship Wrestling. I think it's awesome for everybody that's actually going to be on the panel and have Miranda there to be able to reconnect with a lot of the stars that she hasn't seen in so long. But one of my other questions I had for you, Miranda, was tell us what it was like accepting the Hall of Fame ring, because I know you're going to be there with it. Tell us what it's like to finally see your dad honored in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Oh, well, myself, my sister, and my brother were all there to accept the ring, and we were at the, Hall of Fame induction, and it was emotional, but, I mean, it was time. Like, I think it was way overdue.
Yes, definitely so.
Yeah, the Freebirds set the bar for so many things, and I think the WWE just waited for the right time, which is Dallas, I love the Sportatorium. So it was definitely overdue. And I was, just all the emotions, very happy that it happened. And of course we miss Buddy and we miss my dad. So it was super emotional. But I'm glad that it finally happened.
That's so awesome. Sure. And if it wasn't for the fabulous Freebirds, there would be no New Day. Okay?
Exactly.
There would be no New Day because the Freebirds carried the torch so the New Day could have an opportunity to showcase their wrestling, so their work. So hats off to the Freebirds. Hats off to the World Class Championship Wrestling reunion back to the Sportatorium. We're glad to have you there. Miranda, we're going to take one little quick break. We're going to come back. We'll talk more Miranda Gordy if you don't mind.
That sounds awesome.
All right, Tony, we'll be right back right after this.
Here with Michael Hayes and Terry Gordy to ask him about the latest developments in the Khan case. Michael, where's Terry?
Bam Bam's back there, and you better leave him alone, man. I'm trying to get him to chill out. He's too upset. I'm afraid he's going to come out here and say something that you can't put on the air.
Well, tell me now, did Akbar really outsmart you in getting the services of Khan?
That low-life, buffalo breath, block-headed idiot didn't outsmart anybody, man. I've stated from the beginning, Khan was Bam Bam's friend. Any friend of our brothers, mine and Buddy Jack's, makes him our friend. And all we did was try to befriend the guy. We tried to take him around, took him all around the country, rocking and rolling, and tried to show him a good time. We didn't have him under contract. We didn't tell the guy what to do. We just tried to be his friend, and he tried to ruin. We just signed a big record contract with David Wolf, who manages Cyndi Lauper, and he tried to put the spike on me. Mercifully, you know what the spike can do.
I know.
He could have ruined everything, man.
Well, I know,
everything.
I know, but it
because
looks...
of you, Akbar. And I'm telling you what, maybe I did overstep going out there with your goons out there, but I don't care. Ain't nobody going to run down my brother when he's not around, man.
But it certainly appeared that there wasn't very deep friendship for Khan because he took money from Akbar and then became a friend there.
Well, I guess that's his friends. You know, like I said, his main friend was Bam Bam, and that's what made him our friend.
Well, I want to talk to Terry. He's back here.
Not.
Well, Terry's his real friend. Terry, could he...
Back up. See, I told you, don't be putting your hands on this band. This band belongs to us. Nobody puts their hands on this band but us. If I want to hit this band, I'll hit it.
I understand.
You understand that? If I want to take a dip of snuff right here and spit it on the ground, I'll spit it on the ground. If I want to bring a friend of mine from Mongolia over here or Japan, anywhere, if I want to bring them right here to Texas, or if I want to bring them to Nashville, Tennessee, if I want to bring them to Boston, I'll bring them. You understand that?
I understand. It looks like your friendship wasn't very deep.
Listen to here. Man, no friend of mine is going to mess with my brother. Do you understand that?
That's right.
Talk to him. Hey, and let me tell you this, man, especially 3-on-1, 3 of them trying to jump on my brother. Hey, man, why don't they come here now?
Yes, certainly.
Now, see, I told you not to. What's the matter with them now? Where they at now?
I don't really know.
Here we are. Yeah, here we are. If they want to get it on the park tonight, we'll get it on.
He is upset.
I told you. Bam, Bam, chill out. Don't be bad. Don't be putting your hand on my band.
All right.
See, I told you, Mercy. Look, this thing ain't nowhere near over. Akbar, you have really done something that you're not going to be able to handle, brother, because you ain't got no idea what Bad Street is. Bam, Bam, come on.
Are you going to try to get Khan back? Are you going to try to...
We don't want him back, man. Hey, look, Mercy.
All right, fans, we're back with Miranda Gordy talking about WRESTLECADE, the World Class Championship Wrestling Reunion, and now we're back. Miranda, tell us about how you got started in the world of pro wrestling, besides being the father of Terry Gordy. The daughter of Terry Gordy.
Well, obviously, wrestling has always been there, and for the longest time, I had no interest in it, and then sometime last year, I went and I saw a show, and I just instantly fell in love. Like, it was a really good show, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I should try it. And people have always said, oh, why don't you do it? Why don't you do it? And I was like, no, I don't know. You know, that was for my dad. I don't think it's for me. But I started it, and it just, snowballed from there. And I've fallen in love with it, and now it's like my main focus and goal in life. So...
That's awesome. I mean, you favor him so much. And again, just going back on it, but who trained you as far as formally training you in wrestling?
I have been training at XCW out of Denton, Texas. And my is the XCW Institute. My main trainer is Knight Davis, who runs the Institute. And I've also worked with Tom Howard, who has, Tom, okay, awesome. Yeah, I've worked with him a lot too. So both of them have got me where I am today.
That's awesome. What has been your biggest match so far? I mean, I know it's a short career, but there's got to be a match that stands out in your mind.
I've enjoyed all of them so far, and I just keep it's like I'm addicted now. So all of them have maybe wanted more. I just had a match with Jazz, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I had a match with her in Denton for XCW last Friday. So
that's awesome. Now she's going to be at WrestleCade. Jazz is going to be there. Rodney Mack's going to be there. So it's going to be a lot of familiar faces for you, especially since you just worked her last Friday. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, I know. I saw that she was going to be there. So we had a pretty good match, and I'm sure I'll see her again. She's always in this circuit. So hopefully I'll see her up there too.
Absolutely. So you'll be there on Saturday at WrestleCade. That's Saturday, November 30th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., signing autographs, meeting the fans. You'll be right there beside Michael P.S. Hayes and Jimmy Jam Garvin. Again, the fans are going to have a lot of questions for you. Of course, you mentioned you're going to bring the Hall of Fame ring, so great photo opportunities for you there. And also, that Sunday, December the 1st, with you being on the panel, again, a lot of opportunities there. We got AML Wrestling that's going to be there. Of course, the ladies, Queens of Combat is going to be having a big show on that Sunday. So lots of opportunity for you to at least keep your eye open, or even have an opportunity to possibly, work somebody if you even felt like it. So I look so forward into having you there. Again, that's the weekend, WrestleCade weekend. It's going to be such an honor to have you there. You've been such a great guest tonight. We appreciate you.
Again, thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. I look forward to meeting you at WrestleCade, and I really appreciate you giving us your time here tonight and talking about your dad and your wrestling career.
Yeah, I totally appreciate y'all having me on.
All right. Well, you have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you in November.
All right. See you then.
WrestleCade weekend returns to Winston-Salem, November 29th, 30th, and December 1st. Meet your favorite wrestling stars. Experience live wrestling events all 3 days. Shop for your favorite wrestling merch and more. Join us for family-friendly fun for wrestling fans of all eras during WrestleCade weekend, November 29th, 30th, and December 1st. All goes down at the Benton Convention Center in Winston-Salem. Tickets and info at WrestleCade.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us for another exciting edition of the BENGEBUSTER Show. Make sure you follow us on our Facebook page and listen to us each and every week on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, and anywhere else that you find your favorite podcast. Make sure you download wrestling's hottest podcast, the BENGEBUSTER Show.